Akira Kurosawa's 1975 film Dersu Uzala, his only film not in Japanese, is about a team of Russian surveyors who are tasked with mapping a portion of the country's eastern wilderness. While on their mission, they come upon a small, elderly man who has been living off the land most of his life. He is peaceful, wise, and possesses a gentle friendliness. Without much in the way of negotiation, this man, the titular Dersu Uzala, takes the Russian surveyors under his wing and gently instructs them on how to complete their mission in harmony with nature. This involves surviving storms and avoiding trappers. George Lucas has gone on record with his affection for the films of Kurosawa and how he based Star Wars on elements from Kurosawa's The Hidden Fortress. Ever since, essayists have expounded extensively on the connection between the two filmmakers. Young Star Wars fans, perhaps exploring Kurosawa for the first time, may immediately recognize Dersu Uzala as the inspiration for the diminutive Jedi Master as he appeared in Irving Kershner's The Empire Strikes Back. Yoda, belonging to an as-yet unnamed alien species, was first seen living on the distant marsh-covered planet Dagobah. He stood about 2.5 feet tall, sported long goblin-like ears, and was visually realized using a complex puppet operated by voice actor Frank Oz. The puppet itself is detailed and expressive, and the filmmakers outdid themselves making the character convincingly interact with the human-sized character of Luke Skywalker. As detailed in a 2020 retrospective on Empire, seen on StarWars.com, Lucas talks about how the special effects crew were constructing Yoda literally until the hour before filming. Lucas, while not the director or writer of Empire, was heavily involved in production. Prior to actual filming, the only exposure he or anyone else had to Yoda was through Oz. While it's true that Lucas had Dersu Uzala in mind and Oz performing the voice, there was no physical representation of the character yet. The making of Kershner's film was notoriously rushed, with production beginning in January of 1979 and a release date of May 1980.
Always with you, it cannot be done.
For a big-budget sci-fi sequel that aimed to outdo its 1977 predecessor, that was a very fast turnaround. Lucas recalled that he didn't really see Yoda in action until shooting actually began. He said, "A lot of those things, like Yoda, got finished like an hour before we shot it. Everything was always on the run. So I finally got to see the whole thing finished, put together, lit properly, and that's when I knew it was going to work. Before that, I had to rely on Frank Oz." Yoda was largely designed by makeup artist Stuart Freeborn, who based the puppet on a combination of Albert Einstein and his own face. Freeborn also did makeup for 2001: A Space Odyssey, Dr. Strangelove, Return of the Jedi, and 4 Superman movies. Lucas was careful to credit Freeborn's work, saying, "Frank had performed great in rehearsals, and Stuart Freeborn was working very diligently on trying to get the puppet to work, but it didn't convince me until I saw the actual movie." Luckily, he, along with most audiences, was convinced.
Yoda. You seek Yoda.
Yoda was vital to the storytelling success of The Empire Strikes Back. Kershner's film largely follows 2 simultaneous story paths, with the B-plot focusing on Han Solo's spaceflight away from the pursuing Empire, and the A-plot focusing on Luke learning about the mystical Jedi arts from Yoda. The A-plot contains a lot of spiritual and dramatic heft, as Luke faces demons and falters in his psychic training. If Yoda wasn't convincing as an actual being with wisdom and authority, the story wouldn't work. Lucas knew this, saying, "If it hadn't worked, obviously the movie would have been terrible, and you don't really know until you actually show it to an audience and they don't get up and storm out and say, 'This is stupid.'" While there were voices in pop culture like Weird Al Yankovic and Mad Magazine that mocked his Muppet-like appearance, audiences generally felt that Yoda looked just fine and should be celebrated. Not only can you find Yoda merchandise on toy store shelves to this day, but the character returned for Return of the Jedi, several Star Wars prequels and sequels, and multiple TV shows. By any measure, Lucas, Kershner, Oz, and Freeborn created a lasting character that soaked deeply into the pop culture firmament. Now, if only someone would give his species a name.